Welcome to the Multimedia Nail Stylization Academy. Thanks to us you will get to know how to properly do a nail extension procedure with acrylic technology. Let's get started. Stage 1. Preparing the nail plate. To remove the cuticle we use a special double-ended remover or disposable wooden sticks. We also remove the cuticle which grows on the natural nail plate. If you leave the plate uncleaned, it will create bubbles which will cause the artificial nails to fall off faster. If you use too much force or if you hold the instrument inappropriately, you can cause nail damage. Mat and shorten the natural nail plate using a file of gradation 240. If you leave some glossy places, it will also cause bubbling of the artificial nail. You also have to remember how to hold the file properly. The thumb and index finger should be held on the top of the file on opposite sides. The middle finger should be held under the index finger. In the very beginning, it can appear to be uncomfortable, but with time it will improve the work and make it easier. We have to be careful and remember not to touch the natural nail plate with our fingers during the procedure. Stage 2. Gluing the nail tips. We put the nail prep on the natural nail plate. Stage 2. Gluing the nail tips. Choose the size of the nail tips carefully. Using sizes that are too big or too small can cause the formation of natural nail plate. The drawing shows what correctly and incorrectly glued tips look like. Tip number 1 is glued correctly, number 2 is too small, and number 3 is too big in comparison to the natural nail plate. Tip number 4 is glued crookedly. You also have to pay attention so that the nail tip is not glued upward or downward. After you choose the proper nail tip, you coat it well from below with glue. Then put it on the nail at an angle and lower it down so that there is no air under the tip. Hold the tip without moving for a few seconds so that the glue can dry. Meanwhile, you can check if all edges are even. After all nail tips are glued, you can shorten them using a special nail cutter. Hold the nail cutter at an angle, measure the desired length and press the handle. All the nail tips should be matted, also the edge between the natural nail plate and the tips should be smooth. You can use the file of gradation 180 to make it smooth. Remember to hold the file properly. After you finish filing, the nail tips should look like the natural nail plate. Tip number 1 is not filled properly because the line of connection is visible. Tip number 3 is not glued properly because there is air under the nail tip. Stage 4. Putting the acrylic mask on. French. Before you start the nail extension, you should learn how to put the acrylic mask on the brush. Press the brush against the bottom of the glass dish before you start the procedure. It will remove the air from the bristles. To apply small amounts of acrylic mask, small ball, drain the bristles off against the edge of a glass dish several times, and then put the powder on the brush tip with a quick movement. To apply medium amounts of acrylic mask, drain the bristles off about 3 times and hold it in the acrylic powder for about 2 seconds. To apply a big ball of acrylic mask, drain the brush off against the edge of a glass dish only once and hold it in the acrylic powder for about 4 seconds. You have to be careful to check if the ball is not too wet or too dry. If the white powder is noticeable on the surface of the acrylic ball, then the activity should be repeated because the ball is too dry. If the ball is too wet, it is possible to try it gently on the nail wipe. Before starting the nail extension, you have to degrease the nail tips and the natural nail plate. After the prep dries, put the primer, but only on the natural nail plate. After the primer dries, you can start putting the acrylic mask on. Use a big ball and spread it on the whole surface of the nail tip by kneading it. You can put a larger quantity of small balls if necessary. During the procedure, you can start forming the smile line, cleaning it with the brush tip. As a result, a rectangle is created, which covers all three edges of the nail. The next step is to add small balls of acrylic mask on both sides of the nail to expand the smile line. Stroking the drying acrylic with a brush with a bit of a liquid will cause the surface to be much smoother. Stage 5. Putting the acrylic mask on. Filing. After the white acrylic mask dries, you can start building the stress line. Cover the natural nail plate with a big ball of transparent acrylic mask and even it out with the French tip. If the acrylic mask dries too fast, use smaller or wetter balls. Add the balls on the stress line until you receive a proper curve. The scheme presents correct structure of the nail. A more detailed description is available on the leaflet added to the kit. Stage 6. Filling hard acrylic mask. Before you start working with sharp files, you have to blend the edges by rubbing one against another. File the artificial nail. Remember all the rules concerning holding a file. The more imperfections there are on the nail surface, the more time you need to work it out. After you achieve the proper shape and thickness, polish the nail surface using a block for nail polishing. You have to clean the nail of dust carefully after filing. Use a nail wipe or a special dust cleaner. Stage 7. Putting on the gloss. This procedure should be finished by putting a special top coat with a UV filter on the nails. Thanks to that, the nails will be glossy and the UV filter will protect them from turning yellow.